I believe that EdTech will actually play a much more meaningful role in the Indian context than it would in the Western context or the more developed context. So there's a great opportunity to get a lift. I mean, very recently, Professor Karthik Mullidharan, who has done research in education for the last 15 years, did an analysis of the MindSpark program and found that in his 15 years of work, this was the most effective tool in terms of improving learning outcomes, had the best results. And that, I think, is an indication of what is to come.
Right. Comparing to you, there are all those who perhaps are still arguing whether we're ready to sort of move into these online classrooms. What are the numbers? Where are these students coming from? Are they largely urban? But our numbers sort of are beyond these urban centers. How do you sort of see that?
Yeah. I think in the last year we've seen a massive shift in the mentality for Indian learners to move online to find the skills that they're looking for. Right? And so, I can tell you about Coursera. We've grown more than double in terms of the number of people who are coming to us. And your question about where are they coming from? I think right now we're still getting folks who are reasonably well educated, who have definitely a college degree, if not at the very least a high school degree, who are coming, who can speak English, have reasonable internet connection, and likely chances are they're either in a tier 1 or a tier 2 city today. Right? And that's where we're getting the numbers. The future needs to be beyond that. Right? And to Ashish's point, that's really where the potential is, and I think we have the beginnings of a technology revolution that can make that happen in education in India.
Right. So there's no argument that we have to sort of ride on, say, Digital India. We have to ride on getting access to all those who need it beyond these big centers. As someone who said that you love joining the dots, help us do that exactly. How are we going to sort of get there?
But if you look at it, the two sort of major changes which have facilitated this is on the telecom side. One, when telecom became, the mobile phone became cheaper than the landline, and secondly, when people moved from the desktop to the mobile phone. And I think that's what's going to be driving a lot. I've sort of been using Coursera for a long time. I've done about half a dozen courses on that, and it's been fantastic. The challenge we also have in India is that the gap is so wide. Teachers are not able to fill the gap because we don't have enough teachers. And there's also issues about the mixed quality of some of the teachers. I've met some fantastic teachers in remote places like in Manipur and in Ladakh, but on average it's been a challenge. So if you want to sort of scale that up significantly, the only way I see it is with technology. And it's really being able to access that wider with the fact that internet and connectivity is going to improve significantly.
6 courses from Coursera. No wonder you're talking about those big numbers. You know who you can thank. You know
half of them are coming from here.
Right.
Motivated learner.
Absolutely. Talk about that, really. Pranav, the point that's being made that you have a great teacher sitting in X part of the country, say Manipur. The point is that there's a student there in Chennai or somewhere in, on the outskirts there who should have access to that great quality teaching, not having to suffer absence of a teacher or someone who's not really up to scratch. But are we anywhere close to achieving this? Because it sounds perfect, and a country with our kind of challenges could really use it. But are we anywhere really close to achieving it, or how far are we?
I don't think so. I think right now a lot of the talk about teachers, is just the delivery side of it. We're not talking about the absorption side of it. So as a nation, we stress more about teachers teaching than we do about students learning. So I think a lot more research on, where are the students making mistakes? What are they not learning? Why are they not learning? And then building tools that remediate those gaps is what's important. I think technology has become a fancy word, and if we just use technology in education for the fancifulness of a smart board, of a teacher assessment tool, that may not sort of necessarily work out. I mean, technology has to work on those areas where humans cannot, right? So you have to literally look at what are the comparative advantages of man versus machine. What are teachers and only teachers able to do? A lot of things we talked about in the earlier panel about, for example, teaching ethics, being a good citizen, facilitating group projects are something that only humans can do. But a lot of things around learning, algebra or reading is something that you can actually delegate to technology. And I think that's where, unparceling a little bit of what is it that technology can do that humans cannot, and playing on that would, I think, inch us closer to that.
Right, that's an important point actually. Because when I did a quick poll at work before I got here on what people would like to know from this, and many people said, I want to know what is the tangible outcome that I should look for. Like, I want to see a tangible outcome. I'll sign up for this course for my child. I'm willing to pay whatever it is chart, but what is the tangible outcome? Then I want, because we're in a society now where it's 100% or nothing, then I want 100% or nothing, otherwise there's no paisa vasool. In this scenario, and this is the Indian scenario really, there has to be paisa vasool, there has to be outcome, and we really value education. How do you see players like yourself?
I would just go back to this discussion around how technology is playing a role, but also what teachers can do, and this is the discussion we were having before as well. When we talk about outcomes, one of the big levers would be how we can engage teachers and how we can improve teacher quality. But there is an interesting element there. World Bank did a study in some classrooms in 3 states in India and looked at what teachers were doing in a classroom. And what they found was only a quarter of the time was being spent on higher order learning activities. A lot of the other time was spent on administrative stuff in chalk and talk method. And I think that's that provides us a very, very interesting way to leverage technology, which can make some of those tasks more automated, more easy to do, and free up the time. I mean, just imagine if you could even just double the time of the teacher focused on learning outcomes, what impact that can have on outcomes.
Right, sure.
I think the tangible outcome is different depending on what stage of education you're in.
Sure.
Right, so for a younger person taking a Khan Academy course, it may be something different than someone in their 20s signing up for a Coursera course. But you can see the evolution of tangible outcomes or that outcome orientation, even within Coursera. For example, we started with courses of all types. I think we still have a very wide and robust catalog of courses. But what we found, especially in India, was that paisa vasool is, will this either help me get my next or first job, or will this get me a promotion, right? Or at the very least, will it help me do my job better, right? And that's it. And if I believe those to be true, or if my employer believes these to be true, then I am very willing to pay the 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 rupees and invest the 4 to 6 weeks, more importantly, of my time to take that Stanford machine learning course.
Right. And actually, traditionally we haven't really spent enough time upskilling ourselves. So generations have gone past where we've got our degrees, we've got jobs, we've been happy, we perhaps have moved jobs. We haven't spent time upskilling ourselves. Now you have a generation that's very keen to skill themselves. They're talking about great years, they're talking about figuring out what they want to do and then go for it. So is this really a very good time to look at, say, EdTech as a sector? They're saying that EdTech is now booming. Headlines are now screaming that it's the best time to be in EdTech. So would you say that all these, so we are ticking the right boxes as it were?
Yeah, I think EdTech for just
EdTech's sake.
Also for continuous learning is one opportunity. I think as Kabir was saying, there are different segments. I think the real opportunity to fix India's education problem is really to work at the more sort of fundamental level. I think Coursera is fabulous and it will help upskill people in the workforce.
Sure.
But if you look at what's the real crisis in India, it's down at the primary school level, at the middle school level, at the secondary school level. And there it's not just any form of technology. So I think the first era of technology we had, which was smart boards, and a number of companies went and rolled out technology. I think most research around the world shows that it's very passive and it doesn't work very effectively. It may get some engagement early on, but it's not very strong. What we need is, we need not just technology, but we need products that are pedagogically sound and that are personalized and adaptive, because that's what will really work in terms of improving learning outcomes for kids. So I don't think just any form of technology works. I think something that's going to be engaging, it's something that's going to be pedagogically sound, something that gives you instant feedback, and something that is personalized. I think those are very, very important factors. And then if you can connect it back to the teacher or the parent, it's so much more powerful in terms of keeping the incentives, in terms of continuous learning on the platform.
If I could ask you, I'm also looking at a time when parents and teachers, schools, beyond just the students, are open to the use of this technology. And on a large scale, the point being made earlier in the previous session was also the fact that they know what they want, they know they're going to get it, and it's going to be something plus what they're already learning, what Google's offering, what books are offering. It's going to be something more. There's going to be like an added benefit.
Right. I think everybody is. I mean, if you just look at penetration of WhatsApp or Facebook or smartphones with internet connection, down to government school teachers in large states, we are touching above 60%. So I think there's no more phobia of technology amongst teachers. 5 years ago, we remember teachers wouldn't touch these because they think they would get an electric shock, they would keep them locked away in cabinets. I don't think
That would be a threat to their jobs or something like that.
Correct. In terms of getting, I think it has to be very customized to what the needs are, right? So I'm not sure if a teacher is really necessarily valuing a lot of the standard stuff that is available in textbooks is just being portrayed there. I think what teachers need is, before I walk into my classroom, can I get a temperature check of where the children are? So let's say if I'm teaching fractions tomorrow, can I get samples of what students' errors are? Can I get what worldwide research says? Can I get examples of questions that I can use in the classroom just in time? Typically, the teacher training that is happening in large-scale governments is usually 10 days, once a year. And that's not very effective. There's too much sort of being thrown at them, not much absorption. And if I have to prepare for a class, 6 months later, no point giving me training that much earlier. So what teachers actually benefit with technology is something that they can use within the next few days, and it's something that is very customized to their classroom.
You want to make a point?
Yeah, one of the other challenges also in the classroom is that when you've got 50 kids, and you sort of in this situation where you've been mass learning, mass teaching. I'm not going to use word learning because learning is different from teaching it.
And this one-size-fits-all approach
right.
that we
so
have.
So the ability to, where technology also can play a part in is very differentiated learning, where people can learn at different speeds and at different sort of capabilities. I want to come back to the other point which you made, Pranav, about how you can't teach certain other courses like ethics. To me, again, I'm looking like I'm plugging for Coursera, but one of the most interesting courses that I've done on ethics was actually on Coursera, where we did this course taught by 2 professors from the University of Lausanne called Unethical Decision Making in Corporations. And it was fascinating because you're chatting up there with people across the world, each one giving their own unique perspective on how I look at something which is ethical or unethical.
I think the only differentiation I would say is, for you are in the top 1% of India, you're already a learned person, and your ability to absorb from that course is that much higher. But the remaining 99% of India that Ashish was referring to, which is kids in grades 1 to 8, it would be very different for them in terms of what their needs would be. And I think India is unique, right? One is the learning levels in India are so low. The average 10th grader is at the 4th or 5th grade level. And not just that, you have a full bell curve that spans from grades 1 to 10 in the 10th grade classroom. So no matter how phenomenal a teacher you are, there's absolutely no way you'll be able to cater to each child in the classroom at the resonant frequency at where they are. And for that, I sort of feel like it's very, very different between the 99% of India and the 1% of India.
So I think, one keeps hearing about personalizing it, about, you need to personalize it, you need to sort of target, it has to be tailor-made to you as far as possible. Explain to us how that is sort of possible, how do you sort of know the diversity of the student that you're looking at, how can one do that, how much of a challenge is it? You're talking about a bell curve, which means that there's enormous diversity.
Sure. I think, let me just talk a little bit about the Khan Academy product itself. I mean, it's known mostly for its videos. But there are personalized learning missions that one can do, and what you do is you pick up the subject, you answer a few questions, and the software picks up where you are, and then helps create a path for you. So an example of that is what we have done in the US with SAT exam. So we've partnered with College Board, where when you take the preliminary SAT, once you link your account with College Board, all your scores come into Khan Academy's account, which gives us information about what your gaps are, where your strengths are, and then create a personalized learning path for you. So imagine, you can create test prep is a huge industry everywhere, including India. SAT is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And imagine if you could provide a personalized learning platform, which takes into what your deficiencies are and what your strengths are, and help you build on that. And it's free, and that is a very powerful implication in leveling the field for everyone.
Actually, this is perhaps what, I don't have any doubt that everyone would agree that our generations need this. This is the kind of learning that we're looking at. But how do you see this in our present scenario, where, like I touched upon earlier, it's 100% or nothing to get into our top institutions that are, I'm not sure if I can call them educational learning institutions, but there are cities devoted to just cracking competitive exams. The stress and is now just frightening. How do you see this with that? I mean, will everything coexist? Is there sort of room for everyone? Would we sort of wake